The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hello, and help me welcome Pam Tucker. Pam, welcome aboard. You must be busy now. You're only a month away from getting all the candidates running.
Yes. Well, good afternoon, and it's great to see you as always. I enjoy our little conversations that we have here.
Good.
And yes, I am in charge of the recruitment effort for Republican candidates for the New Hampshire House of Representatives. And it sounds, that shouldn't be too bad. Well, if I was in a state that didn't have 400, it probably would be a very easy task for many. And as you know, it's a volunteer position for the most part. People are paid $100 a year. I mean, that doesn't even cover your shoe costs, quite honestly.
They take taxes out of it, too.
Yes, they do. So it used to be $87 when I was in the House, and probably when you were. But now I'm sure it's a little less. But in any case, it's quite a large task. And I work with all of our county chairs and town chairs, the local committees, a lot of activist groups. We don't collaborate, but we definitely talk, and we try and fill in the blanks together for people who are like-minded, who want smaller government, less intrusion in our life from government, and people who just want to live free and not have government telling them what to do.
Right.
And the biggest thing that government can do is take away your liberty by taking away your money. That's your property. So what we're doing is recruiting across the state from here all the way up to Coos County. People think I'm absolutely insane because when I see people at events and meetings, I pull up my phone and on it I have a spreadsheet of all 400 seats. And we talk, yes, that district's filled. Okay, do you know someone here? So it's interesting. You could say I'm probably a little bit of a nerd in that regard, but to me, it's extremely important. I do it because I really want what's best for New Hampshire, and that is to continue to live free with minimal government involvement in our lives. So I'm down here in Nashua. I want to get some people excited to run for office. We know this is kind of a Democrat stronghold.
Right.
But wasn't it just 12 years ago that the majority of the seats in 2010 were Republican-led, and that's the year we lowered taxes on everyone. We reduced.
That's when we started that lowering taxes, and every time we exceeded what we thought we needed.
Yes, and we set the precedence that it can be done, and government can shrink, and Granny isn't being thrown off a cliff, and people aren't being thrown off in the street, and those who truly need government services still get them. But it doesn't mean we have a lot of bureaucracy that gets in the way. So it's been done. They've been very modest increases in the budget the past few years when Republicans have been in control. In fact, the budget this past year reduced property taxes. The money went to your town or city, so you might want to go talk to them about what happened to it if you didn't see lower property taxes. We've helped expand education opportunities for children, especially low income, with the Freedom Education accounts. So the Republicans are doing great things, and we need more to continue to do that in the next 2 years. So I'm looking for people to run.
That's right, and we did that in 2010. I mean, we went from 3 or 4 representatives to 22.
Yes, I knew it was a fairly high number there. And we did great things with those 22 representatives. We didn't raise taxes. We didn't have more regulation. In fact, if you remember, we reduced some of the crazy regulations, like if you were a small business and your exit sign had a light out, they would come and fine you right away. We changed that as Republicans to be, if that light is out, which certainly it does need to be replaced, but you have 30 or 60 days to replace that light
Yeah,
without the fine.
you have a warning, more or less, and to fix it.
Exactly. So it's much more reasonable, less intrusive, just simple little things like that that made life better for our businesses here. And we see the results now from that and building up to 2022 of all of the, I want to say excess revenues that we have. I hate to say excess. I think they should give some of it back. But it's great that we're not starving for money on the state level. It's great that our revenues are so strong. That means that our businesses are doing well. And we need to continue that. The last thing we need to do is turn back the clock and go back to higher taxes and more regulation that hurt our businesses and intentionally then hurt the citizens as well.
The economy is going, even though we're worried now about the stock market, but it is good for people to have more jobs than before. And in fact, we probably need more people to move here to fill the openings that we need to fill.
We do, and I'm glad to see that I believe Governor Sununu is down in D.C. to talk to them about changing, what is it, the J1 visa? Is that what it is? I'm not totally
I don't
clear.
know if that's the right terminology.
I don't know which one it is, but I've always believed we need immigration reform. I have my own personal story about getting a gal here who was my nanny, and I want to say circus of jumping through hoops and running through this to get her here. She is now married with a child, living in New Jersey, graduated. She has her master's program and is a productive member of society.
Really? Yeah.
But to get her here, the thousands of dollars on her part, our part, was insane. And here she is, an active member of our state, our country.
Good.
We need to make it easier for people who want to help come to this country. But back to the economy, that seems to be on everyone's mind.
Right.
I think about it now when I get in my little red bug and drive, and it costs me, I get 30 miles to the gallon, and it costs me, over $4 some to get here.
Yeah.
So I think everyone's thinking like that.
Well, there have been a lot of things that have been done by the present legislation and federal legislation, and that just don't make sense. I think we can go through that. But I'd like you to tell the audience about how you're getting these people to run for office and what we are doing to train them properly so that they know what they're going to have to do if they win.
Sure. Well, first off, we need some people to run down here. There's no question about it. We're doing quite well across the state. I do want to mention that because people are fed up with what's going on with the economy, and it's 8.1 inflation now for this month. So what we're doing when people are recruited and willing to run for office, there's many training programs out there. And I think the first thing we need to tell them is you're not alone. There are groups out there. There's the 603 Alliance, which is a very strong training group that helps you understand what is it going to take to run for office? What do I need to do? Do I have to raise money? How do I raise money? How do I approach a voter when I go door to door? How do I do digital type advertising? We help you with all of that. We also connect you with other folks who are running for office. We connect you with folks who have run for office, not only in your area, say Nashua, but also across the state. Because it's good to have the veterans who've done this before and people who just ran 2 years ago to explain some of the obstacles they've overcome. We have all of those resources for you, so one is not out there alone. And between the 603 Alliance training, the New Hampshire Republican Party will also have training programs to help you with these things. There's a Liberty Alliance, which also has training. I know that Americans for Prosperity, I believe they're doing training this weekend as well. So the resources are there, the people are there. And then after you're elected, and even before then, we tell you what to expect when you're elected. Now, I'll give you the pitch that, it's 2 days a week. January through June, which it can be.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. It all depends upon what you want to do and what you want to accomplish up in Concord. If you want to represent your folks and go up there, serve on your committee, which is 1, maybe 2 days a week, the January through June, the first time, that really is about it. And then starting in February, there's the session. So we go through that and we tell you what to expect, what you can expect, depending upon what committee you get on. And if you really want to make a big difference, you get on one of the committees that has many, many bills. And those serve 2 days a week easily, like Commerce is a big one. So we help you with that, so you're not alone and you realize that there is a commitment there. We tell you what your commitment is on the county level, which is very minimal, and what your commitment is on the local level, which of course is ultimately to serve your constituents and your town. And we will help you all through the process, as well as your colleagues. And there's a lot of wonderful resources, and I think the best part of the job is the people you meet.
Right. I agree with you there.
As we sit here today.
We still have friends from way back when we served together in the legislation.
Yes, we do. In fact, my seatmate back in 2009. My goodness, I'm not that old. I haven't been around that long. My seatmate from 2009, 2010 is still a very good friend of mine. She is still serving in the New Hampshire legislature.
Really?
Yes, Karen Umberger up in Conway.
Okay, yeah. No.
Yes, and she's in finance. She's running finance.
Well, that's one big committee. I mean, you want to get involved, that's the committee to go to.
It is, and it's such a huge effect on the state and the budget, and they do an excellent job up there.
Yeah.
So there's all of these resources for everyone. We just need people to want to step up here in Nashua. And again, we're willing to help anyone who wants to. And it's so much fun. You know that.
Yeah, in Nashua, they can contact the Nashua Republican Club by NashuaGOP.org. And if they want to find out more, you'll find out that, excuse me, we have a social calendar too. So.
Yes, and the State Republican Party also has a calendar, and it tells you about when all of the local town committee and state or county committee meetings are. You can access that at nhgop.org. That's there, so it's a great way to get involved. Of course, you can always contact me at vicechair@nhgop.org. And I've actually had quite a few people contact me about running for office.
Oh, good.
And so we're following up on those and getting people to run. And it's so exciting, the energy that's out there of people who are just like, oh, yes, I want to make a difference.
Well, I know you have a lot of energy to do that too. I've known you for a good number of years here, one way or another, and your organization is a little. I mean, maybe you can tell me about a little bit more about the people that work with you
at the NHGOP.
Yeah.
Well, it's really transformed over the past few years. When Stephen ran as the chair and I ran as vice chair with him, and honestly, everyone knew this, the New Hampshire Republican Party didn't have a lot of money. It, quite honestly, didn't really have a goal, a plan. And Stephen, being a business person that he is, he said, okay, what's our plan here? Put together a plan and set goals for all of us, myself included. Kate Day, who's my counterpart, who runs town committees and a lot of other things as well. Put that in writing. And when you do things like that, there's something there that's concrete when you put it in writing. And so we had actual goals that we could see and what we needed to do. So then we go to the tactical part of working on those goals. And one of mine, of course, is recruiting people. And so that's what we've done. We've set goals and we reach them. With Stephen in charge, we have a lot of money on hand that's going to help candidates.
Good.
And that's what the money's for. There's no big power and money in our jobs. As you can imagine how much I get paid, I think you know. The big zero.
Yeah, but that's one thing I think you like, when you know people out there because they want to do something and they're really working and they will want to work together. It's not a bunch of independent people who are trying to make a big name for themselves.
Exactly, and that's what you have. It's you have people like me who are just committed, and me driving here or driving there is just my donation to try and make New Hampshire a better place. And we have to respect that no matter what side of the aisle you're on, because it really does take a commitment to be a public servant in New Hampshire
Oh,
politics.
definitely.
If,
But yeah, you're getting a lot of different people too, different types of people, I should say. They're anywhere from the professional to the blue collar type of work, but they all contribute something different. The perspective, and you do get what 422 different people between the representatives in the Senate. And some of them have been there a while, and some of them, I mean, you always get at least a couple hundred people new.
yes, every 2 years it seems there's about a 25 to 30% turnover in the House. And it's good to have that fresh perspective. I think it's also good, like you said, to have everyone from different backgrounds. There's no career politicians
Right.
or career political hacks, as sometimes I refer to myself, in this, because there isn't any power or money in it. It's people trying to do the right thing. And in the New Hampshire House and Senate, the diversity is wonderful. In fact, one of the representatives who's running again this year, she just had twins. And here she's going to run again.
Oh,
God bless her. But she's bringing a different perspective
yeah.
that a lot of other people won't have. And we certainly love having more women up there to bring that
Oh,
perspective.
definitely.
There's
Definitely.
obviously we're 50% of the population. We should get upwards of 50% of the representation up there, but we're working on it.
Okay, you're coming on strong.
We are. We're really trying hard to get more women to run, but we're really busy. We're raising families. We've got jobs. We take care of
Definitely.
the house. You know, there's a lot that we do.
There's a lot that can be done too. I mean, you're really surprised at what effect you can have by new ideas coming in. People who work with large companies have seen how they organize, and some of the administrative departments need a little bit of help too. And they find out when working with us on legislation what can be done or what other people have done, you know. And I think that's the realistic part of life, is that there is a way of earning a living and enjoying it and doing the right things. And you'll find people there that are really trying to help the administration.
They definitely are. And what's interesting about the Republican Party is that we are very diverse in our views. If you were to put all of the Republicans on a little dot matrix up there, you would see we run the gamut. We're not all in like this one little circle area
Right.
like our counterparts are. Ours run the gamut of being, you know, either socially conservative, fiscally conservative. We're a big circle there with, you know, there's outliers everywhere, but we're very spread out. And that's what makes the Republican Party unique. We talk about a big tent, and we truly are. And we accept the fact that we might not all agree how to get things done. We all want the same thing. We want what's better for New Hampshire. And we all have different ways of approaching that. And we respect each other, that your way might be different from mine, but we're still all under that same umbrella of trying to get it done. And we don't walk, I hate to use the word lockstep, but we don't all just walk the same way and think the same way. We're different, and we respect that with each other.
And I think the new people who do get elected will probably be surprised by how many people are looking and watching that, how different it is. You can see people, because these organizations evaluate them, how they vote, and you can see, you know, how you rank relative to anybody else in the legislation that gets passed.
Undoubtedly, even the BIA, the Business and Industry Association, ranks all of the representatives on how they voted on key pieces of legislation. And again, there's really not a whole lot of influence here in terms of power and money like DC. If the federal government worked like New Hampshire, we wouldn't have all of the problems we have down there.
Definitely.
Yeah, no tenure, no barbershop. No.
Right.
I mean, you don't even have an office for the most part up there.
Well, I had when I was there, and I guess you would have too, you have a slot in the cabinet or something where you can keep some papers, and that's about it.
That's it. And I kept a spare pair of shoes in case mine broke. Because most of your work is done in your home office. And I'm sure that's even more so nowadays since we've switched everything up there. We did that, a good 10 years ago to electronic. Save us a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it is interesting, all of the outside groups that pay attention to you. I think the BIA is one. Obviously, Americans for Prosperity does. And they understand that the backbone of the economy here in New Hampshire is our small businesses. And so paying attention to how people vote on that type of legislation can tell you, are they pro-business? Are they for continuing to grow and support our small business folks in the state? And I love to hear them, some of the opponents of business and cutting of taxes say, oh, it helps all of these big out-of-state corporations when they cut taxes. Well, do you know the business tax is kind of a flat tax? It affects everybody equally, whether it's a big out-of-state business or your little mom and pop. And do you know what? A small percentage in the cut in a business tax really benefits the mom and pop more than it does the big corporation. And so these business tax cuts that have come up are very helpful because now they have a little more money to reinvest or to pay more salaries to the folks that are working there.
Have more people,
or have more people there. These even little tiny things that you would think is minuscule are big to these small businesses. And that's what we really need to support.
And I think some of them probably see what some of the big companies who have international, let's say, exposure, try to do things locally. They set up different events and things like that. They can do something like that. They find that's good for business, even though that this might not be their home state.
Very true.
And I know the other thing I think that new people will find that they get a chance to work on some of these committees, not just the one committee that they're assigned, but periodic groups are formed where the people really go into an analysis of things. Like a problem, I served on one committee in my last year that we looked at the marijuana question. Now, there were 25 of us that met twice a month for a whole year. I learned more about what happened to the country, the states that took on marijuana on the West Coast and stuff, and all the mistakes they made there. And hopefully, the chair that we had was very good. He wrote up an excellent summary, and now that is an example that they can look at whenever that question comes up. Because we didn't make a decision whether it's good or bad. We're saying, this is what you have to do if you're going to do any of these things.
Sure.
And it was looked at from safety. It was looked at from all different types of views. And I was just amazed how well we worked together.
Yes, I love the subcommittees that the committees form. And it truly isn't a waste of time, to your point. You really delve into the subject. I consider myself on the Vice subcommittee in Commerce because we dealt with alcohol and tobacco and or vaping products at the time because vaping was up and coming and they were looking about regulating that. So yes, you really do learn a lot in the New Hampshire legislature, not just about people, but certainly about all of the policies and the effect that they can have, and sometimes the unintended consequences, which we always state, of bad policy or sometimes things we didn't necessarily think about. So it's good to really delve into it, like you said.
Yeah, you find out all different types of things. You brought on problems with regulations. That was another committee that I served on in the 2010 election, that we found that some of this administration groups actually had a lot too many regulations, and they didn't rightly use them because they complained that they didn't get enough budget money, and so what did they do? They rely on the people who can't, really pay that much. More kind of stupid type of regulations. And after they saw this, and we made sure they got money, in the budget, and that they couldn't take any of the penalties, from the fees. And it worked out because they start seeing a greater satisfaction to the people they had to watch.
Yeah, and that's the joy of when you're a legislator, to see the positive effects of what you've done, and ask yourself, in the case of regulation, well, obviously is it constitutional is number one, but then you look at it beyond that and say, is this really needed? I mean, we can't regulate everything, and as we always say, you can't fix stupid, right? I mean, sometimes we do try, but it doesn't happen that way. So it's good that people can see what they're doing. It's not just something that's intangible.
And it's good. You feel good that when you can make a change that's really valuable to the state.
Yes, it's very fulfilling.
Well, keep up the good work. I will be talking to you again during the campaign, and we can see how everything's running, and we'll get a whole new group up there.
I certainly believe we will. I think it's going to be a good legislative, a good year for us.
Right.
Legislatively. That means we're going to continue to help our people who want choice in education. We love public education, and we need other alternatives for the kids that just don't fit into that box, and to help our businesses to continue to grow and make New Hampshire one of these magnet states that people in business want to come to and aren't running. So that's our goal.
That's it. Go.
Yes.
I know we'll do well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you for listening in. And if you have to find out any more, you can go to the GOP websites, NashuaGOP.org and NewHampshireGOP.org. Thank you for listening.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.